Let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're taking abstract graphic design theory and translating it into real practical execution using Adobe Illustrator. If you've ever stared at a beautifully balanced logo and wondered, how on earth did they get from a completely blank screen to that final masterpiece? Well, you are definitely in the right place. Here's a pretty surprising fact to kick things off. A lot of the world's most iconic, free-flowing, organic-looking logos are actually built on incredibly rigid mathematical grids. It's like a giant puzzle. So we're going to pull back the curtain on that entire creation process.
We've got a fantastic roadmap ahead of us today. We'll start with the power of logos, cover graphic design fundamentals, tackle perfecting symmetry with the Reflect tool, move into sculpting shapes with the Shape Builder, dive into typography and color theory, and finally wrap up with presenting the final design. Section 1. The power of logos. Let's establish the stakes here and figure out exactly why we're even opening our digital canvases. So, what is the secret to a lasting logo? It's a massive question, right? To answer it, we're going to use a fictional case study to ground all of our technical steps. Meet Luke's Iced Coffee. Picture a pop-up style van selling ice-cold drinks in the blazing summer heat. They absolutely need an identity that screams refreshing and energetic, targeted squarely at young professionals and college students. So, the secret to making this logo last isn't just knowing how to draw a coffee cup. It's about mastering the fundamentals of design to evoke that exact chill vibe. A logo is way more than just a cool graphic. It is the visual cornerstone of a brand. When it's done right, a logo communicates a brand's entire personality before a customer reads a single word. Think about that. It creates that crucial first impression, communicates core values, and ultimately builds trust. For our case study, Luke's Iced Coffee, this logo needs to instantly say to the viewer, we are quality and professional, but hey, we're also really fun and playful. Moving on to Section 2, Graphic Design Fundamentals. Before we click a single button in Illustrator, we have to lay down the overarching workflow and the rules of the game. The journey of design is actually incredibly linear. We kick things off with a comprehensive brand brief to really understand our target demographic, in this case, busy 18 to 35-year-olds. Next step is brainstorming and sketching. Now you can totally skip paper and jump straight into crude digital sketches, but the goal is the same, get those raw ideas out of your head. After that comes the heavy lifting, which is digitizing those ideas in Illustrator, followed by rounds of iteration and feedback, and finally, showing off the finished piece in some professional mock-ups. Have you ever looked at a logo and just felt like something was off? Like you couldn't quite put your finger on it, but it just didn't look right? It's usually because one of these 5 pillars of design theory is crumbling. These pillars dictate every single choice we make. You can't just throw shapes on a screen. You need balance for stability. You need proportion so no single element overpowers the rest. Emphasis guides the viewer's eye right to the focal point. Rhythm gives the design a nice sense of flow, and contrast ensures things stand out through variations in color, size, or shape. Keep these pillars in the back of your mind because they are the exact reasons we're about to use some very specific tools in Illustrator. Section 3, Perfecting Symmetry. Reflect tool. This is where we move from theory into practice and tackle our first major technical hurdle, achieving symmetric balance. Let's think about actually drawing that coffee cup for Luke's. If you try to draw a perfectly balanced cup by hand, matching the left curve exactly to the right curve, you are setting yourself up for human error. Even with the steadiest hand in the world, you're going to get slight inconsistencies. That's exactly why we have to let the software step in and enforce mathematical perfection. It's absolutely crucial for making the design feel completely stable. So let's look at how we actually build that flawless shape. Mastering the Reflect tool is your absolute ultimate fix for ensuring perfect structural harmony. It's like a digital mirror that never ever lies. Here is the workflow you're going to want to memorize. First, you only draw half the shape. Spend all your time getting the left side of that coffee cup perfectly smooth. Once it's good, delete the entire right side of your sketch. Clear away any stray anchor points. Then select that perfect left half, press O on your keyboard for the Reflect tool, hold down Alt or Option, and click the center point. Choose to copy it vertically, and boom, perfect symmetry. No way around it, it's magic. Finally, drag over the top and bottom anchor points and hit Object, Path, and Join Paths. It is a massive time saver for sure. Section 4, Sculpting Shapes, Shape Builder. All right, we've got our basic lines and perfect symmetry. Now we have to deal with complex proportions and overlapping paths. Imagine we're building ice cubes sitting behind a patterned straw all tucked inside our coffee cup. If you switch into outline mode to look at your paths, your workspace is going to look like a chaotic web of messy overlapping wireframes.
Honestly, it looks less like a refreshing iced coffee and more like a highly caffeinated spider built a web. We have to take that raw, messy geometry and turn it into clean, cohesive elements, where it actually looks like the straw is in front of the ice cubes, giving the whole thing proper depth and proportion.
To fix that chaos, we use the Shape Builder tool. This is a real game changer. Before Shape Builder, designers had to use complex Pathfinder panels that felt like doing high school algebra just to combine simple shapes. But Shape Builder is so intuitive. Think of it like literally sculpting away negative space in a sculptor's studio. Here's the trick. Select all your intersecting shapes, the cup, the straw, the ice cubes. Grab the Shape Builder tool. Now, just click and drag through different segments to instantly combine them into a single shape. And here's the best part. If you hold down the Alt or Option key, the tool turns into a minus. You can now click on specific overlapping segments, like the part of the ice cube crossing over the straw, and just instantly subtract it. You're literally sculpting the paths until you have a perfectly layered design. Let's look at Section 5, Typography and Color Theory. The logo mark is sculpted flawlessly, so now we transition into the polish phase to really evoke some emotion.
Typography plays a huge role in your brand's personality. Serif fonts, the ones with the little feet at the ends of the letters, they suggest tradition, heritage, and reliability. Sans serif fonts strip those little feet away to convey modernity and simplicity. For Luke-size coffee, we definitely don't want anything stuffy. The choice here is a specific sans serif font called New Rubric Edge. It has these slightly rounded edges that hit the nail on the head for their playful, energetic vibe, while still being super legible. It's the perfect bridge between professional and approachable.
And then we have color. Understanding color theory is what helps us subconsciously communicate that refreshing, chill vibe of the coffee van. If we look at the palette for Luke's, the core colors are caramel and beige. These are calming but invigorating, literally the exact feeling of an iced coffee. But remember that design pillar of contrast we talked about earlier? To make the logo pop, they used a vibrant blue as a sharp accent color for the brand name. Blue is associated with trust and professionalism, and it stands out brilliantly against that creamy beige background. Which brings us to Section 6, presenting the final design. This is the grand finale of our creative process, proving that the design actually works out there in the real world. A logo just floating in the middle of a blank digital file, it doesn't tell the whole story. To truly prove that your proportion, contrast, and color theory are working, you absolutely must lock your final art into a real-world mockup. Most clients just can't visualize a flat file, but when they see that beautifully balanced, shape-built coffee cup on a physical takeaway cup, or on a website header, or plastered on the side of a summer pop-up van, that brings all the abstract theory into vivid reality. It makes getting that enthusiastic yes from your client so much easier. And that brings us to the end of our explainer today. We've covered a lot of ground. By mastering those foundational design pillars like balance, proportion, and contrast, and combining them with the absolute technical powerhouse tools like the Reflect tool for perfect symmetry and the Shape Builder tool to sculpt complex overlapping paths, the digital canvas is entirely yours to command. You've seen exactly how a messy web of wireframes can be transformed into a clean, impactful brand identity. You know the theory, you have the tools, so the only question left is, what will you design next?